What are your thoughts on Starfield? Every time I'm asked this question, I always say the same answer every time. This game is basically divided into two separate groups. You got the group of people that play Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, and all those other space games. Then you have the group of people that have probably never played a space game or just really love Bethesda games like Fallout, Skyrim, and all those things. If you're somebody like me that has played Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, and all those other games, then you're going to be very disappointed with this game. And you'll probably end up having a love and hate relationship with this game. But if you're on the other side of the group, the ones that love Bethesda games and have probably never played a space game before, you are going to absolutely love this game. This is going to be a masterpiece, blow your mind type of experience that you've never seen before. So this is how I like to look at things right now, because depending on what group you fall in, changes your outlook of this entire experience. So for most of this video, I'm going to be sharing a bunch of clips that I went through while playing on my live stream. I played for about a good 20 hours so far, and I have been enjoying myself, but there are a lot of problems as well. So let's get into it. Are you liking it so far? I really like the combat system. The combat feels very, very nice. The thing that's really disappointing is the whole space flight stuff. But if you ignore the space flight stuff and you just focus on just the core Bethesda style combat and dialogue and, you know, quest stuff, then you'll probably love this game. The space flight is literally non-existent. Look, I'm gonna go as fast as I can towards this planet. Okay? See this, right? I am not moving. There is no movement. I'm supposedly going the fastest speed right now towards this planet. You see how the planet is not moving? Like I'm not getting closer to it, I'm not getting farther from it, nothing. Like I'm basically just stuck. So there's no way to actually land on the planet yourself. There's no way to actually take off of the planet yourself. There's no way to fly on the planet's surface yourself. So basically, the only way to get onto a planet is you got to open up your map. You got to click on where you want to go. So let's say if I wanted to go out in the middle of nowhere like here, I click on it and then I press land. And that's it. Loading screen, and then I watch a cutscene of my ship landing. I don't get to land it myself. I don't get to take off of it myself. You can get up and you can walk around your ship, right? Which is cute. It's cute that you can walk around your ship. And you can interact with stuff too. Like, look, you see this pot? I messed around with this pot lid a long time ago and it still stood the same way. And that's cool. That's cool. But you can't explore every single aspect, and you can't even go down this ladder to go down to the bottom part. It's a loading screen, watch. See? Just like in the Fallout games, basically. It's a loading screen. Now I ended up back here again. And now I'm outside. So you don't get to actually do all the stuff that you would expect from like a game like Star Citizen, for example, where you physically press the button to open the gate, to make the gate come down, and then you board the ship. And then you press the gate button and then you watch the gate close, and then you open this up, open up the hatch, you climb up the ladder. You know, it doesn't have all that immersive shit that Star Citizen has. When you land in a random spot, you'll get a bunch of random little unknown things that you can explore like this. So we can go check out one of these things. So it's very like Oblivion feeling, or Skyrim, I guess, where you find random caves or random bullshit that you can interact with or explore. Which there's something I like to add to this. You see how you have those three little icons on the screen, right? Basically, the way these fields work when you land in these areas is you're basically have a little play area that you need to hang in. So let's say it's a circle like this. If you go outside that circle, you're not going to find anything out there other than maybe creatures or maybe some mining materials here and there. But you're not going to find any more outposts. You're not going to find any more caves or anything else too valuable to explore out there. And eventually you're going to hit an invisible wall that's going to force you to come back to where your ship is. And flying out in space is exactly like this as well. It's a small little play field that you might see little ships, or you might see bandits, or something is out there, little asteroids or whatever. but that's the only spot where you can actually fly. If you try to fly outside of that, you're basically hit the invisible wall the same exact way that I showed earlier, where your ship just won't progress. And that's pretty much how this game is formatted. So those were the worst of the worst, basically, of this game, especially when you're a space enthusiast like myself. But ignoring all that stuff, let's just review the actual game that we have in front of us and pretend that this is just like Fallout 5. So let's start with the good. We got the usual Bethesda storytelling in here. So if you've liked games like Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout series, except for New Vegas, of course, because that's on a league in its own, then you would love this game because there's a lot of quests everywhere. Even on the little side planets, if you go to the main establishment that they want you to go to instead of just those random landing zones, you'll find quests to do. The combat is very satisfying. It feels like a blend of Fallout 4 and a little sprinkle of Call of Duty in there. The AI seems slightly better than previous games, not by much, so I'll explain that in the bad. The ship customization is insane. That's something that I wish No Man's Sky had for such a long time, but they keep sleeping on that idea. But it's really cool to see the ship customization in this game because it's pretty much like slapping Legos together. There's just so much you can do with it. And you can make outposts and settlements and get a home and all the typical stuff that you've seen in like Fallout 4 and all the previous games. So that's good. Surprisingly enough, there aren't a lot of bugs in this game. For the first time ever, I could say that a Bethesda game launched with very minimal bugs. I'm going to give them a little clap for that. It's kind of crazy to even say those words. I've probably seen a total of maybe 4 bugs in my 20 hours of playing. So that's very impressive. Now let's talk about the bad. I'm not going to talk about the space stuff since I already covered that. But space combat in general, just flying your ship, is very, very awkward. It pretty much feels like you're flying like a tractor trailer all the time. I was trying to see if I could find a smaller ship, like something like an X-Wing, like a one-seater type of thing with no crew. It doesn't seem like this game has that, and that's pretty sad because from the beginning of the game, I picked the introvert perk, which supposedly makes it so that I get more buffs for being alone instead of having companions and stuff like that. So it would have been nice to see this stepped up a notch going into ship battles, because imagine how cool it would have been to have a small ship that maneuvers extremely fast and extremely well versus having these big tractor trailer type ships that take forever to turn. I did mention the AI earlier and how it seemed like it was slightly better, but they're still pretty dumb. At least they don't run at you blindly like in the Fallout games. So they do take cover and stuff like that. But they usually don't ever try to find safer cover, or they don't ever try to like collaborate with the other teammates that they have in the area. It just seems like it's like every man for themselves, and the AI is just trying to like duck behind the cover, and then they peek their head out, and then they duck behind the cover, and they keep doing that over and over. Another really sad thing about this is when you down an enemy and you get them down to crawling. I was expecting the enemy to maybe have a situation where they'll pull out a little sidearm and try to like finish me off or something while they're on the ground, or maybe even get help from another NPC. But there was literally one time I let the NPC crawl around to their teammates, and their teammates just ignored them. So I don't know if that was a bug, because I had people in my comments tell me that the NPCs will pick up the people that are down, but I didn't see that happen even one time during my gameplay. Also, the companions are horrible. Just like in previous games, they constantly walk in front of you and you shoot them in the back of the head. They're useless. I guess I had wishful thinking that the AI would be similar to like The Division or maybe even Halo, where they actually jump from cover to cover and try to flank you and all that. But yeah, I was expecting too much from Bethesda. And the saddest part about the companions is that you're forced to have them. So when you first start the game, you're forced to have the robot. And then once you're done with the robot, Sarah starts following you around until you finish her quest. Get out of here.
You can't get rid of me that easily.
So it takes about a good hour before you can get past all this shit till you can finally just be free and be an introvert like you want it to be, which is really dumb. which by the way is the tutorial of the game. So don't expect to explore this game the moment you get out of that little cave, because that's not how this game works. Sneaking in this game is not as fun as the previous games, because I feel like from a mile away they can see you regardless of how high you leveled up your perk for sneaking. And also the mobs become spongier and spongier the harder you put your difficulty at. Like to the point where it becomes basically The Division, where you're just shooting the fuck out of an enemy and wasting like 3 or 4 clips on them just to get them down to like a quarter health left. So I ended up just putting it on normal. That way it could feel a little bit more realistic instead of having these crazy bullet sponge enemies. On top of this, they added looter shooter elements to this game where you're collecting weapons that are color coded, and the same thing with armor. This is pretty annoying because you're constantly thinking, oh, well, this legendary item I got is probably better than the blue thing I've been using for a long time. Also, remember how you used to be able to take their armor? So if you saw something cool on them, like a helmet that looked badass, or maybe even a chest piece or something, you can't strip them. So basically there's RNG involved in this as to whether or not you're gonna get that helmet that you saw that looks so cool on that enemy. So that's really, really sad. So you can't even transmog and look cool, because that's usually what I do. I usually pick armor pieces and stuff like that that looks the best instead of looking at stats, just so I could look as cool as possible. I almost forgot to mention the performance issues. This is hopefully something that will be ironed out in the future, but they don't even have DLSS support. I saw modders already managed to put it into the game and are already adding performance mods. But it's kind of sad that the community is already trying to find ways to increase the performance of this game when Bethesda gets paid tons of money with tons of developers and can't have this cleaned up on day one. And this game has a lot of illusion of choice when it comes to storytelling in here. Most of the time, whenever you do get a choice option, it's kill the enemy or persuade them so that you don't have to kill them. They tried to do this little roll chance with the whole persuasion system in this game. It's almost as if they were trying to pull off the Baldur's Gate 3 type of thing, but it doesn't feel as good. So it doesn't really leave you with a whole lot of options for stuff to do. So I feel like this is a wasted opportunity because, you know, a game like New Vegas, for example, you could choose to not even interact with the person and maybe even sneak up and steal the thing that you needed from them instead of actually talking to them at all. I could probably keep going and adding more and more bad, but at this point I feel like I'm just kicking a dead horse. So I think I'll stop right here. So to share my final thoughts on this game, I really do like this game. There's a lot here. You got the normal Bethesda formula of going out, doing quests, doing the side quests, doing the main quests, which I really didn't spend too much time doing the main quest because I found it to be kind of boring, especially in the beginning parts. But doing the side quest was very, very enjoyable, and I'm still enjoying myself right now. I still constantly keep finding some new quests to do, and I'm constantly just pushed into different directions, just how exactly the same way that I felt when I was playing the Elder Scrolls games or even Fallout games, which is awesome. But of course, I'm always thinking about the space thing, and it just constantly disappoints me just thinking about the potential of what this game could have been if we would have got the No Man's Sky or Star Citizen treatment with space travel. So pretty much what I'm really hoping for is for modders to do exactly what I said a while back when I made a small little TikTok clip stating that this game would be a masterpiece after modding. So I think a good 2 to 3 years, we're going to see some crazy ass mods for this game, including multiplayer, probably even the space travel that we've always wanted, to pretty much complete the experience that we've always wanted out of this game. If I was going to give it a score, I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 right now. Maybe with modding that can jump up to a 4 or possibly even a 5. But yeah, just judging by the base game and what you're getting right here, it's definitely a mixed bag. And I feel like a 3 out of 5 is perfect because it's pretty much that average score. But anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.